Police brutality has been a very controversial issue in most recent years. The seriousness of the issue cannot be explained within just a 10-minute video, but I did my best to try to capture some of the perspectives from the students here on the UIS campus and what they thought about it.
Johnny Giuliano.
Other night at your crib, it was like me, Black, 40, Obi. We just sitting there talking about life, play some beats, but I forgot to tell you one thing.
What are your thoughts about police brutality?
I think it's real. I think it happens, and that a lot of people think that it's just, a black phenomenon, or just, we're crying out and kind of making stuff up. And I think it's a reality that a lot of us live, and that we need to talk about it.
So what are your thoughts about the recent, police cases, such as the Trayvon Martin case, the Quan McDonald cases, stemming from that?
They suck.
I think it's horrible. I definitely think something needs to be done about it ASAP.
It's been more of an issue, it's been more controversial, but it's something that's not being shown as important as it actually is.
Well, from my understanding, the victims were unarmed. They didn't provoke the incident or anything like that. It seemed to me like pretty much the police officers were the aggressors in the situation.
How does that make you feel?
Devastated, very disappointed in my country and people.
Kind of angry, kind of sad for my brothers. They didn't deserve that at all.
All the hate being spewed over these years that is actually continuing. I don't think that it's decreasing in any way. I feel like it has just been masked in different ways over the years.
They've really messed up the image that police are supposed to be protectors and stuff like that, because everyone thinks the cops are more bad guys now than good guys, and that really doesn't help their cause if people are afraid to call 911 because they're going to be mistaken for the bad guy.
What type of impact do you think social media has on this overall issue?
It's a huge impact because, for one, many of us, we like to take things for face value.
I get to see it. Media records it now, and they make it more, I want to say, they make it more known. Because it was always happening before, but now it's more shown, and it's inevitable to look over it.
Either the media doesn't tell the truth, or they don't have the full story of the crime, or they're not at the scene, they just go by what other people say.
So we read something and that's what we believe. And I'm not saying the stuff is not true, but there's always more to the story.
Social media plays a role as in passing the message. Social media is just the link to get the message. That you have to use your mind and pass that knowledge on after you dissect it and understand it for what it is.
I think it has positive and negative effects. It enlightens the community and the people about what's going on in the world, but it can also kind of give false information as well, kind of twist stories around and things like that.
And I feel like a lot of these events that have been captured on media have made it a little more difficult for people to hide the truth of what goes on in areas still in this country today.
You can't just see a video and share and think that that's the end of it. You have to know the whole story in order to make an informed opinion and start speaking about it, or else you are just adding to the problem.
How limited do you think the media is as regards to telling the whole truth of certain cases?
You have media is there to instigate it in the best way possible to get the most attention. So it's definitely had a huge influence on the way people see the police, how serious the issue has become.
Depicted images can get spread quickly, that can portray situations however the artist or whomever captured the picture wants it to be portrayed.
Like right now, the cops have a bad image of everyone thinks they're trigger happy, and these cases haven't done anything but reassure that image, because people have been afraid of like the police brutality stuff since the 60s. So and all the stuff that's happening right now really isn't helping them out.
When you see the police at night, how do you feel?
Sometimes scared, because I don't know if they're coming after me or not.
Why do you think you feel that way?
Because of the recent incidents that have happened in our community and throughout the United States.
Where are you from?
Chicago.
Nervous, actually. I feel targeted. I feel like I need to be on my P's and Q's, even if I'm not doing anything wrong. I often feel like they're looking at me, like they're expecting for me to do something wrong. So when I'm not, I'm like in this little cat-mouse game with them.
When the police pulled me over, my heart started beating real fast.
I get nervous, real nervous.
And I know everyone who's been pulled over, like once you see those blue and red headlights, like you instantly panic. You get a mini heart attack. And with all like the recent stuff that with police like brutality and people getting killed from the police, that's not really helping.
Well, if I speak from two different standpoints, from the college environment, from back in Chicago, here I feel safe, I don't really have to worry about much. Campus police is always around. It's a small environment anyway, and Springfield is pretty protected, so I feel safe here. I don't really have to look over my shoulder when I'm going places.
Well, how do you mean? When I see them drive by, or when I see them in person passing?
Both.
Both? When I see them in their car, I expect them to be on their job when the lights are off, figuring out if there are issues going on, responding to calls, of course. But when I see them in passing, I do wonder how they are in their minds, how they are and how they react in a situation. If it were me, or if it were my African American roommate, and see the differences in those situations. I never want to be put in that, nor do I want him to be, but if all the videos I see on Facebook and YouTube are true, and I do believe there is enough evidence to prove so, then I never want to have that feeling of indifference towards a policeman who my parents and everyone around who pays tax dollars employs. I never want to have that indifference, that feeling, that scarcity.
Do you think that everyone in the police force is trained to deal with every situation?
No, I do not.
Where do you think the police moral standards come from?
Moral standards?
I believe they come from personal morals, maybe things that are passed down from parents and grandparents, things that go on in their different communities. That's pretty much like where I think they get their morals from.
The veterans of the police department, most definitely, and the aspirations of the rookie police officers to help one another.
Those are our hopes and what we expect from our police officers. Like, we expect them to protect us, and we expect them to be, not a savior, but we'd expect them to be figures of support, not, we don't want them to be demonized, but I guarantee there's a lot of officers who do go in, with their own personal baggage, personal stereotypes and prejudices, and let that affect their work.
It turns into this systematic racism. It gets passed around, and even good cops turn into bad cops because the worst cops are influencing the moderate ones, the ones who have no say originally but are caught up in the situation.
I don't think that all police are bad, and I think that there are villains out there who do have a strong moral compass, but I also think that there are a lot of people who have strayed and are out there fighting for God knows what.
I know kids who wanted to be cops since they were 17 and going to take classes at community college trying to be a police officer. And they wanted to help kids like them who've been wronged, and they want to teach them. They want to be mentors. So bringing those young rookie cops with those pure gold aspirations for the community that they're protecting and serving, and the veteran police officers who once were those rookies with those aspirations, need to keep those. They can't get twisted because they're paid to protect and serve the community that they live in. and they should care as much for everyone else's family as they do their own. That's their job.
Yeah, but the law also needs to respect the law. The law enforcers need to respect the law. They need to enforce them legally and lawfully, and as peace officers, not as officers who have a purpose to destroy criminals, because that's not their purpose.
What do you know about the Black Lives Matter movement?
Well, Black Lives Matter movement is kind of a rebirth of political activism from young Black Americans who are trying to fight for equality.
Justice for Black people. I know that they do recognize that all lives matter, but at the moment, Black lives need a little bit more attention because we are the ones getting killed off by the police the majority of the time.
So you think that's where it stems from, the police brutality?
Yes.
I know that the Black Lives Matter movement is a result of racism growing back in this country, and it is a result of African Americans in this country being disrespected more often and not being justified. Having those situations not justified at all and having them die out in the past history and no one seems to talk about them seems to me like they're not getting the fair share of media exposure and exposure to the wrongdoings that are becoming of the societies of the African American culture.
I think it affects everybody because it's a sickness, like it's a symptom of everything that's happening in America. So although we're greatly affected, like the Black people, we feel kind of the burn of it, but it still affects our relations with whites. It still affects, it has to be very terrifying to be a white person and stand up for Black lives. Like to be able to, you kind of have to we're Black. You can't necessarily understand our experiences. You don't know what it feels like to walk around and be a Black woman. So I understand your struggle, and I understand where white people may come from, where they just don't understand, they don't get it. But for the white people who do stand up and be like, I never lived that, I don't understand it, but they take the effort to understand it and still fight for our cause. Like that's very scary, and it's liberating, and it's a scary place to be. So I give credit to those who do try, but it's definitely not an easy task.
This is Josh Stromanaz reporting for the UIS Journal.